Hi, I'd love to share a little bit about our Monday Night Awakening program. This is really one of the heartbeat programs of Circle Evolution. It's something that has been going on since, I believe, 2007, and it is the gateway through which so much intelligence, teachings about consciousness, high vibrational energy, healings, attunements has come through to serve not only the people who are live on the call with us, but also to create the recordings that go into our activation gateway, which is the treasure trove living collection of the recordings that we do in this Monday Night Awakening program. And I'm super, super proud of this program because it's something that I realized was so needed for people who are going through a lot in their lives. As many of the people who are drawn to come and work with me are, they're not usually the simple cases. If people were really just going through sort of more simple experiences that could be resolved by a therapist or simply meditating or some other kind of self-care practice, it would have already worked for them and they wouldn't need to keep seeking until they come to us. So a lot of the clients that came to us are more complex. They're more chronic a lot of the times, or they have bigger ambitions, goals, and dreams. And what I found was they needed more energy work. They needed more consistent energy work. They needed more consistent reinforcement of the tools, of the practices that we have to really shift their paradigm from one reality to another. I did a lot of work with people with late stage cancer and those sorts of complex mental, emotional, physical, energetic experiences aren't solved with a single healing session. And so we created the Monday Night Awakening to become, honestly, an affordable crucible where people could gather every week, almost every week, I guarantee it 4 times a month, to receive these higher teachings, these higher frequencies, and to kind of commune in a higher vibration of energy so they could really begin to heal, evolve, expand, and grow. What I have come to understand, and if you're somebody who's really been struggling with something that's very, very challenging, very, very difficult, and maybe you've already tried a lot of conventional treatments, even unconventional treatments. Maybe you've done a retreat or you've gone to a certain, great practitioner once here or there, is that big change has to happen on multiple levels. It is mental, it's emotional, but it's also very much biological. And what I really want people to understand, and it's, I think, becoming more well understood in the spiritual community, um, is that being able to create a new reality requires that your brain can generate that. And it requires that the neural pathways, neural bundles, neural nets that you have going on in your system can actually make that experience for you to experience it viscerally. Because I know we all like to think, well, what's inside me is inside me, and what is out there is out there, and we're separate. But your capacity to perceive, receive, and experience what is out there and have your brain actually put that into a visceral experience for you. That's the brain's job. Your experience still entirely comes through your brain. And that doesn't matter if we're talking about super duper out there cosmic experiences, like some of you might think that what I do is that. But really, my brain has been trained to pick up on and interpret these high frequencies into words and into the channeling experience that I deliver to people because my brain allows me to do it. It's trained to pick up on higher frequencies. And if your brain has never been trained to experience joy, it's never been trained to experience great abundance. And when I'm talking about brain, I'm also talking about your nervous system and a whole lot of other biological elements of your being. you can't actually have that reality because it's still going to be your brain putting it together. And so the purpose of having repetitive experiences is that you're actually giving yourself, like it's almost like grapevines, and you're giving yourself a new training line for your neural pathways to be guided by, to start to form a new reality. Like grapes grow on the grapevine. Something is training them to take those shapes. And single shot spiritual experiences can be really wonderful in that they open people up really quickly. They open their awareness up to this other aspect of consciousness that maybe they've never been able to see or think of or conceive of before. But when that sort of activating gateway closes down, like for example, if you've experimented with DMT, or you've, there's a number of ways that people sort of do rapid awakenings. There's nothing within their brain that is primed to continue to create that experience for them, because the overriding function of the brain after it's been disrupted is going to kind of go back to continuing to create your reality, going to your job or to your whatever it is that you do all the time, because that's what most of your neural pathways are used to making for you. And it's also what your nervous system accepts for you as well. So I came to a much deeper understanding of this through years of doing this work, and through receiving the teachings, obviously, of the Circle of Light, that our shifts, whether we're talking about a personal shift, just going from a bad relationship to a good relationship, or we're talking about a collective shift in consciousness, requires the rewiring of our brains in order to create a new reality. When you were a tiny little baby, you didn't hear Dada once, and now suddenly you can speak 5 languages fluently. And this is very much what our experience is that we need to train our brain to give us a new language of creation. And so this was the idea, to create the Monday Night Awakening process, where people could come into a space and repeatedly receive those high teachings, receive those high vibrations. So even if they go back to their day-to-day life and they're still facing a lot of the problems, they're going to come back next week and they're going to keep getting that reinforced mentally, emotionally, and of course energetically, and then physically. Because once the brain, the nervous system, starts to accept new possibilities, new better possibilities, then it can really get on board and start creating that. And most people can't afford to come to a practitioner or a channel, or even regular therapy costs a lot of money for people, enough, regularly, frequently enough, to give the brains and neural pathways that kind of exposure so it can create a new reality. They can't afford to do that in one-on-one sessions. So the idea was to create this regular crucible and give people access to the entire library of the collection of these recordings, with the high frequencies that are in them are still embedded in them. So every time you listen to a live recording where the energy is super, 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 super powerful, or you listen to something from the recordings library, which is going to be perfect for you in the now moment that you listen to it, even if it's a recording from 2008, you are giving your brain that opportunity to learn a new frequency and a new way. Many people feel so frustrated that they're caught in patterns they can't seem to change, and their best intention is to think positively, to be positive, not realizing that so much of their unconscious wiring isn't on board with that decision yet. And you have to entrain your whole being into these new positive shifts. So developing a program like this, I've intentionally made it very affordable. Same with the Activation Gateway, because I'm not interested in creating repeat experiences just to keep pulling you in. It's because I understand that The brain needs it. If you are frustrated because you are unable to make a breakthrough in your life, whether it's in your career, your love life, your physical health, your mental health, your energetic gifts and abilities, your life plan, it's probably because your brain does not yet know how to create that for you. And you need to give your brain exposure to these new concepts, new higher frequencies, in order for it to start to learn them and go, okay, I'm ready to create this new music of experience. And I also use music as an example of this. No one sits at the piano and goes ting, 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 and then suddenly can play a concerto. You have to learn through practicing. And it's not very well understood by a lot of people how much the biology plays a part in whether you can experience something new. And so it's really important to me, again, that we're creating things that are really going to help you have a new and exciting reality, that you're going to experience something new in your life. So if you've also been feeling a sense of spiritual isolation, like there's nobody who really understands how you feel connected to energy, if you have also been opening up energetically and you feel a lot of confusion about some things that you're experiencing energetically that seem really out of whack with reality, again, this is because your brain is still learning. It's still learning how to play Mary Had a Little Lamb on the piano. And it just doesn't know how to do the concerto where it can bring all of the consciousness and the new intelligence into a new, really visceral, powerful reality. And this is a common phenomena that I call threshold resistance. So the Monday Night Awakening program is to help carry you through thresholds as you're going through your expansion. It's to give you repeat, regular exposure to higher frequencies and new teachings. And it is the gateway where we are receiving the most current information about what to focus on as we're moving through this shift of consciousness personally and collectively, because there's sort of these different waves that come in that are important for us to focus on at that time in order to open up to the next stage of development. So I'm super proud of the Monday Night Awakening program. It's something I've been incredibly dedicated to, and honestly, I will do it into the day I die because I love it so much. I value everybody who's on the program with us so much, and I really just get stoked myself on all the teachings that come through this portal. So please join us, Monday Night Awakening. It's the bomb.